Bloomberg's Hans Nichols is our White House correspondent, and Hans has been following the president's speech, and Lizzie O'Leary is in Washington as well. Hans, let's begin with you. The president making mention that he has been fanning across the country with the vice president and members of his cabinet. What's been the main focal point today?
Well, today the focal point is that the economic recovery will be battery powered. That was the message today. $1.5 billion in grants that they announced there in an area of the country that's really been devastated by the recession and the entire financial crisis. One thing that you note there, Obama said that they've saved dozens of jobs in the city, and the mayor himself yesterday told us that they saved over 400 to 500 jobs in Elkhart, in Wakarusa, in the general area. The problem is that entire county has lost 15,000 jobs throughout the entire year last year. So the numbers there are really hard for the president. That's why they're bracing the public for potentially more job losses. They expect unemployment to get higher. This is all part of preparing the public and Wall Street for those numbers that are going to be released on Friday.
Bloomberg's Hans Nichols is joining us from Washington. Hans, thanks. Patricia?
We are now going to talk about the president speaking of health care reform. He made it a point to say we will pass health care reform by the end of this year. This message certainly couldn't be more timely, as there's a new poll out that shows the president's numbers slipping when it comes to his handling of health care reform. And for that, we go to Lizzie O'Leary, who joins us live in Washington. Lizzie, what does this new poll say?
Well, the numbers aren't that great for the president, Patricia. This is from Quinnipiac University, and it shows public disapproval of the way President Obama's handling the health care overhaul has ticked up about 6 percentage points since June. Remember, he's been out trying to sell his plan constantly. We heard him work it into those remarks there in Indiana. The public also skeptical of the president's promises that any overhaul is going to pay for itself. 72% of the voters predict that Obama is not going to keep his promise to rework the health care system without increasing the deficit. So we're seeing deficit concerns bleed in here. Of course, this comes at a time members of Congress are getting ready to head back to their districts. The House has already done that. The administration wants this month of August to spend some time to build on momentum for health care. And one way they want to do that, the president did it again just now, casting this as a fight with health insurers. So I talked to former Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle about that administration tactic.
What they're trying to do is to make it as relevant to the typical American as possible. A lot of Americans don't have much experience with health care. They have a lot of experience with health insurance because they pay it every month. So making it as relevant as they can is part of what the goal is here. And rhetorically, they're doing that with this so-called fight with the health insurance industry.
Now, there is a little bit of a risk here. This could potentially backfire. Daschle said insurers did promise to come to the table for this overhaul, so there's some risk there. Patricia?
Well, Lizzie, different insurers stand to lose or gain different things in these proposals. So are we seeing factors within the insurance community?
Some very subtle ones. Remember, if you think about what could potentially come out of this, if there is, say, a strong public plan component, that could hurt insurers who sell a lot of individual policies. An insurer like WellPoint, for example. But if it's someone who sells employer-based coverage, like Aetna, well, if there's a mandate that says employers have to provide coverage, that could help them because, after all, they're expanding, potentially, the administration is, the pool of people who would have to have insurance. So a lot of different tensions among and between these companies. Back to you guys.
Bloomberg's Lizzie O'Leary in Washington. Lizzie, thanks.